Greetings. I'm Craig DeRoche, the President and CEO of Family Policy Alliance, folks. And if you've ever wondered what is the most important elected official in America, what's the most important elected official in America? I can tell you about a day in my life when I thought about it differently. And I was in my late 20s, and former President Clinton was on his way out of office. He was a young man. He was elected to office in his early 40s to President of the United States. And they said to him, he was a popular president, successful president. What are you going to do in your retirement? You're heading into your 50s. You've been a president for 8 years. And he said, I'll probably go run for school board because that's the most impactful thing that Hillary and I can do. Folks, if you're a Christian, if you're a parent, you're at home and you're wondering what happened to our school district since 2000, you should have been paying attention to that interview like I was. And we have on the show Miss Amanda Banks. You can see our Vice President of Education for Family Policy Alliance that has the answer for this. Amanda Banks she's got this fascinating and unique story. Amanda, in 2014, her husband, Jim Banks, was deployed to protect our nation. He went overseas and was deployed to Afghanistan. He was a state senator, so you have to vacate that seat. In most states, if you're gone for more than 30 days, your seat becomes open. So Amanda ran for that seat, served in the state senate. She's a graduate in public policy and public affairs from Indiana University, and worked with focus on the family with Doc Dobson. That was actually her first job, working with Doc Dobson at Focus. She came back to Family Policy Alliance, where she leads all of our education of everything we do, our Statesman Academy, which is for our state legislators, but she also launched the Schoolboard Academy 2 years ago. It's now in 33 states, I think, hundreds of graduates, and it's changing the world for the good, just like Bill Clinton was trying to do it for the bad 25 years ago. Amanda, thank you for being on the show and being with us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Craig. Thanks for having me.
A super interesting, person in this, because you got the bug for the importance of this education when you were sitting in attendance at the Statesman Academy, right? When Jim was going through it years ago.
That's right.
Tell me what the listeners, why you thought the School Board Academy was so consequential for America today. Like, what is the difference between an America with school board members that go to the School Board Academy versus people that don't go to the School Board Academy?
Yeah, well, I'll start a little bit further back, if I may, Craig, and just say you referenced the Statesman Academy, and back in 2016, when my husband, then State Senator Jim Banks, was a participant of the Statesman Academy. That was the inaugural year. I went with him, of course, as his spouse, and we had a very impactful week. I thought it was such a blessing to be able to attend with him, to learn alongside him, to hear the devotions and participate in the worship. It was just such a unique event for state legislators. And, fast forward about 3 years, and Jim was then serving in Congress, and I got the call that Tom Menery had stepped down. He was, of course, the man who launched the Statesman Academy at Family Policy Alliance, and they were looking for a new director. And so, as God would have it, that ended up being me. And then, as you said, I went on to now lead all of our education programs at Family Policy Alliance and Family Policy Alliance Foundation. So, School Board Academy then entered into the equation. As you said, we launched it just about 2 years ago in November. And prior to that, you and I were having conversations, as a ministry throughout COVID, we were getting calls from families, from moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas, concerned citizens who saw what was happening in our schools, because, of course, we saw it on the computer screen, unlike we had ever seen before, the woke ideology and the dangerous curriculum that were permeating our classrooms. And we were hearing from anguished parents that were saying, what can we do? What can we do to change the state of affairs in our public schools? And how can we combat this woke ideology? I mean, it seemed like it had just exploded. None of us, or very few of us, realized just how bad it had gotten in many public schools. And so we began talking at FPA about what we could do now that, we have this track record of educating and equipping state legislators for service that honors God. What can we do for school board members? And so that began, a lengthy process of seeing, researching what was out there and what role could we fill, what unique place could we have in the education and equipping of conservative school board members. And what we found out was that there was no biblical training for specifically for pro-family conservative school board members and candidates. Well, that's who we are. We're pro-family. We are traditional values. We believe in a conservative ideology, and that can extend certainly to the public school arena. And so we developed what is now the Schoolboard Academy. We teach it both in live, their online cohorts, and then we offer it on demand as well.
Um, you know, we boldly march into this education. We've seen the success with the state legislators now in 41 state capitals. I think a couple of speakers of the House, minority leader. It's a really privileged position, folks, and you make that possible for us at Family Policy Alliance to be able to serve these folks. That's what we are. We don't lead them. We serve them. We're trying to help them be better. For God has given them this privilege to serve on a school board or in the state legislature. And there's not a lot of people out there saying, we want to help you do that and keep your values. The world is trying to teach them how to set their values on the shelf, put them in a closet while they're serving. And this is the opposite of it. So what type of people have we attracted then, Amanda? This is a completely different approach. Obviously, in the marketplace, was not teaching people how to keep their values at work. What type of people applied for it and have been participating over the last couple of years?
Well, thanks in large part to the partnership of the Family Policy Councils, the organizations that we have the privilege to have in our alliance. There's 40 of them across the United States. They have been great partners in connecting us with conservative school board members and candidates who could benefit from our training. And so these are men and women who believe like we do, that moms and dads matter, that they are the primary educators of their children. They have rights over their healthcare decisions, their religious training, all across the spectrum. But men and women who saw what was happening primarily during COVID, and were awakened to the changes that needed to happen in our public schools, they started raising their hand and saying, Lord, here I am, I'll run. Maybe something that they had never thought about before for many of them. Others have said, how can I support the school board members and the school board in general in my district? And so, a variety of ways that you can get involved to make change and to be an agent for good in your school district. But we seek to, of course, educate and train those that are currently serving on the school board or those that are campaigning to do so and want to get a head start. So our training really focuses on how to be effective once you get there. It's not a candidate training school, but we have 3 pillars that we are always focused on at the Schoolboard Academy. And that's that we're equipping school board members for service that, number 1, honors God, number 2, protects children, and number 3, preserves parents' rights. So all of our curriculum is focused there, but we do that in a variety of ways. And I'd be happy to talk, more about the details. But that's sort of an overview of our program.
It's so critical right now what I think, what I get to see the Schoolboard Academy doing for folks, because I served in a local government myself in the 90s on a city council. And I can tell you, folks, that's the most intense, the hardest form of public service, the closer you get to home. School board and city council probably is only rivaled by being a homeowner's president, to give you an idea of the intensity I'm going with here. So these are noble and hardworking people. And we want to thank you for supporting FPA so we can provide this to them. School board members are not the high-paid elected officials that get free health care and retirement benefits. They're usually people that get hardly anything, maybe reimbursement for gas to go to the meeting. and they have the power of the purse. One of the largest investments our country makes is in K-12 education, and we own that system completely. And 1/3, if you're an evangelical Christian out there listening to this, 1/3 of you don't even bother to vote at all. And in fact, in school board elections, about 85% of the public doesn't vote, and that includes about 85% of evangelical Christians. So we want you to participate. We want you to get involved in these elections. And we want you to know that it's more than just winning elections. Family Policy Alliance does it differently because we've served in office. I've served in local office and in the state legislature, so has Amanda Banks. And we know that we need to get behind these people and lift them up because they face issues, unbelievably difficult issues today. Amanda, why don't you tell our audience here about some of the complexities of these good, hardworking people that are, lawyers or plumbers or, in their, hairdressers, stylists in their local community that volunteer to be on the school board. And all of a sudden they need subject matter expertise help. What are the issues that they get hit with right away?
Yeah. There are many social issues, which will be no surprise to many of our listeners today who are social issues that are impacting our schools, right? So at the Schoolboard Academy, we face those head on and we bring in national, both policy experts and legal experts to teach on these very important topics. We start with our issues on the second night of training. If someone's taking a live course, it's over 3 evenings of training. And so after we lay a foundation on night one, night two, we jump into the hard topics. So CRT is, of course, a hot button issue right now. And Jonathan Butcher from the Heritage Foundation teaches on that. What can we do as school board members to get a hold of our curriculum, and specifically around socio-political education? That's sort of the umbrella term where CRT falls under. What our children are taught about our country, about its goodness, about its history really matters. And we know that now more than ever before because of the influence of CRT in so many classrooms. So we start there. We then talk about age appropriate standards, both in curriculum and in library materials. And we hear from one of our partners in the FPC area from the Pennsylvania Family Institute. Jeremy Samek talks about his model policies that he's developed in Pennsylvania that can be applied across the nation to go at this tough issue from the standpoint of age appropriateness. And it's a really fascinating topic because, that doesn't sound very sexy, age appropriate standards, but with the impact it can have to getting the gross, books and other reading and, resource materials out of our libraries that nobody listening today would, want there. But they get kind of snuck in, and then we find out the hard way when our kindergartner or third grader brings home a book with explicit photos and vocabulary in it that we don't want our child to see. So that's a really great session. Then we talk about the age-old issue of sex education. Now it's not just that, but social emotional learning, or SEL. And Lori Kuykendall is our expert there, wonderful health expert, and she talks about where it's gone. What does sex education look like today? She explains that it's not all bad, but we have to know what the curriculum is for the sex education in our school. We have to ask a lot of questions. And as school board members, of course, they have the jurisdiction over curriculum in their schools. That doesn't come from the state. The state has standards, but the curriculum is decided at the school board level. So she talks in great detail about both sex ed and then SEL, which is permeating our schools now. That's really teaching children about feelings, and sometimes that gets into feelings about what's right and wrong and ideologies and many topics that, again, conservatives, Christians are not comfortable with others teaching our children about. We want to be teaching them those things within our homes. We go into curriculum transparency and parents' rights. We delve a lot into sex and gender issues. And then we end with religious freedom and freedom of speech issues in the classroom and in the public schools. So lots of great content. I could speak for a long time about it, but that's, again, just an overview of what we do throughout the 3 nights of training.
I want you to hear what Amanda Banks, our Vice President of Education at Family Policy Alliance, is talking about here. Family Policy Alliance has recognized that school board members, those of us in the community that want to be involved, want to make a difference, organically, sometimes we can figure that out ourselves in our own community, but it can be made a lot better if we're surrounded by subject matter experts. Amanda's talking about the issues of parental rights, gender ideology, and LGBTQ. And this is in every school district in America, folks. It's not in the blue states. An active, concerted, probably 70-year campaign is at its crescendo right now to try to use the public education system, not just to teach what the answers are, but how the rising generation thinks, the manner in which they think. And that should scare all of us. Folks, there's a lot of people that have been participating in the public school system, and they've been creating this for decades. And the only way for us to correct it is by participating ourselves. And if you're a Christian at home and you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking, I don't need to participate in there because I send my kids to Christian schools or they are homeschooled, that is not true. These people are the folks that you drive next to. These are the people that either are or are not following the laws, the criminal laws in the community that you live in. These are the people that are making it safe or unsafe for your children and your family and your community. And it is your tax money paying for this. And it's our country. We own this, and we own all of our school districts. So sorry for the diatribe there on the side, but you get me worked up when we talk about this, Amanda, because we have a real opportunity here to change these things, but only if people participate. And that's part of what you and I are talking about right now, that the only way for us to counter these ideas is for good people to learn how to be school board members and actually compete on that bench. Because what they're saying is, if my kid doesn't get a transgender surgery, they're going to commit suicide, for example. That's gone on in school districts all over America. But the facts from Sweden and the UK and all the doctors, when they come in with their white coats, would say if you give your kid the transgender surgery and drugs, you're remarkably increasing the likelihood they're going to have suicide, right? So what I'm saying, that's controversial, but a school board member in a local burg in America doesn't know how to have that fight. What I want people to know is what Amanda's saying to you is you can have that fight. You can win that fight. We can equip you and your entire community to be successful when those issues come to your community. Is that me being grandiose, Amanda, or have we actually seen some of the fruit of that from our graduates that have gone back into their community, brought some of this knowledge, and actually gotten the left, right, and center to say, oh my goodness, it's not what I thought it was. We want to protect the kids and come together in a bipartisan way and protect the kids. That's the most surprising thing to me is when we teach them how to educate their local community, even the left stands down.
Right. That's right, Craig. The school board members that we have the opportunity to interact with are really courageous people. Most of them have been serving on the school board for 2 years or less, and they are still learning. And they recognize that they have much more to learn to be more effective. They often come to us very green. Some of them are still candidates, as I mentioned before. But they take in the training, and you know what really sets us apart at the School Board Academy is the model policy that we provide to school board members. Throughout the training, we provide more than 25 model policies that they can take to their school district. They can tweak them if they wish and introduce those to safeguard students, to protect parents' rights on a variety of topics. And I know that is so powerful. I remember the very first cohort we held, and a woman named Amy, who was a brand new school board member in Kansas. Kansas, we think conservative Kansas. Well, not where she's from, and probably not in most public schools in Kansas, unfortunately. But she participated in the School Board Academy. She went back, and within just 1 month, she had passed a policy to remove social justice was the terminology, which is CRT, from her high school curriculum, and indecent materials through the age appropriate standard model that I discussed a little while ago. Then, and that was both in curriculum, and then she went on to do it in the library materials as well. So, I mean, if you can, you can sit through a few hours of training, take good notes, and then download the model policies that we provide, and it's just turnkey. You take them back and introduce them. Maybe you only get 3 out of 7 votes, or maybe you're the only vote, for the policy, but it's a start. And it gets people thinking that, oh, there's another way. And maybe it starts off as a compromise. You meet them halfway. Maybe instead of, right now a hot topic is banning cell phones from schools. Maybe instead of banning them for the whole day, you start off with banning them in classrooms. There's steps you can take that are going to make a really positive difference and impact both for students, parents, and the teachers and staff, depending on the issue, if you're just willing to try and, again, be courageous. And that's what these people are who come to the School Board Academy.
Well, it's been an amazing progression for me to watch, and it's not something I want everybody to know that Family Policy Alliance does not take credit for what is happening with the fruit that is occurring with these graduates. God is involved here. And so thank you all. Those of you that have made this a reality, and I know we have some graduates listening today too, you're literally changing the world because you're demonstrating this. Amanda, I want to end with some hope for folks because I think people believe that folks are so tribal that we're past any point of redemption. That if good ideas come from the other side, they will be rejected because we are a country of 2 tribes now. Folks, that's not true. That's not true. One of the most powerful things I've seen Amanda and the entire education team do is they taught school board members how to go to the left and ask them when they say things like, so you want me to ban books? And to say, well, let's talk about where the current ban of books are. And of course, the left would say, we don't ban books. And in every school district in America, they don't allow pornography. They don't allow hardcore videos and magazines and stuff. So one of the joys is getting the left where they explain where they've already put their book bans in place first. And as they're explaining those, you'll find that they're usually very interested in going many ways further than us. And so just by changing the nature of the discussion that you're having with the people, it changes everything for the good. And as Jesus tells us, you'll know it by its fruit. So Amanda, share with us some hope as we take people out of here. If they're going to refer a friend or a relative, or if they're thinking, maybe myself or a family member could serve in our local school district, are we setting them up for a failure? Or are we setting them up to be part of the next American revival for the rising generation?
Yeah, one of the best things about the School Board Academy is the camaraderie and the fellowship experienced by the participants. And they certainly have that during the 3 nights of training, where they interact with one another and with the instructors, asking questions, receiving feedback on specific things that they're facing currently in their districts. And they hear that they're not alone. Of course, we know that they can feel very much alone, particularly those that are the lone voice of conservative values on their school board. But they come to the School Board Academy and they see and hear that indeed they're not alone, and there's many others serving like them around the country. And then they're emboldened and encouraged to fight the good fight, to keep going. And in fact, now after the School Board Academy, they're equipped like they've never been before with those model policies and the research and the other resources that we provide to them. So they feel like they do have tangible things they can do now. I love the encouragement that comes from School Board Academy to those that are serving or running. And we didn't talk about it before, Craig, but one of the most impactful parts of the School Board Academy is what happens after the training is over. And we call that our School Board Exchange. So all the alumni become part of the exchange, and then FPA and our allies continue to resource them with new model policies, with new trainings. As new hot topics arise, we get on Zoom and do a brand new training and then make it available to the entire fellowship through our learning management system online. So I just want to encourage folks that if you want to be just an agent of encouragement to your school board members, maybe you don't feel the call to run yourself, but you know someone who has the same values as you serving on the school board, maybe offer to pay their tuition to the School Board Academy, or just simply send them the link and encourage them to apply. We have all the information that you need on our website, familypolicyalliance.com. Right at the top, you'll see our academies listed, and School Board Academy is there. Easy to find. The application is very quick and easy as well. And we just love your help to get the word out and share with school board members and candidates that this is available.
And Amanda, we're going to be sharing this widely, and I want everybody that's listening to know this is just the beginning as we prepare to engage 1 million Christians to participate in the 2024 election. A lot of organizations, and Amanda knows this, and she and I both operated this way in our past. We take some time off, 2 years maybe if you're in a state legislature, 4 years if you're a governor or a president. Folks, Christians can't do that anymore. We're going to vote in every election. It's becoming easier for us to do that. We can do it with integrity. If we don't trust the mail system, we can drive to our city hall and vote right there with the cameras on us the day that early voting opens, or usually in the states now they afford us 30 or more days to make it by city hall and vote. And we need you to vote because these school board elections are usually decided by less than 20% of the population, folks. And we know the outcomes that we're seeing in America. And so we know simple math. We participate in these elections. We get different school boards. We educate the school boards on what's possible with these trillions of dollars to actually bring better, more fruitful educational experiences to our children and protect their childhood, their civil rights to a childhood from sexualization, from drugs, from bullying, from all these horrible things that they're being exposed to the right way. You can do that right now. We're going to be organizing for February, May, August, November, every year in your states. So we want you here, but we want you to refer people. We want you to consider too, Amanda. I'll be the numbers geek here, Amanda. I think there's 118,000 school board, either members or school boards in America. I think it's school board members. I think it's several thousand school boards making up 118,000 individuals. So take that seriously. There's plenty of room for Americans to participate in those jobs as well. And I just want to thank you again for Amanda for your leadership for education. This is truly the transformation, structural transformation of our nation. Thanks for being with us today.